What's up, guys? We are doing a Facebook Live on how to read a travel contract. And before we start, I'm just making sure that everything is connected as I'm streaming this on Zoom and on Facebook Live for the Rate My Therapy Company Facebook. So let's hope you guys can see my screen. That's me. Just give me one moment, guys. I believe we're streaming live. Just seeing how it looks on my phone. Give me one moment, guys. I believe. Perfect. Hey guys, we start over. Hey guys, my name is Yonas and I'm a travel physical therapist. I started to Rate My Therapy Company many years ago, about 4 years ago, just trying to find a good job. And I wasn't sure if a job was good. So I made a Facebook group essentially to be like Yelp, but for travel therapy companies. And I'm actually doing a 16-week series on all things travel therapy, and it's going to be very helpful. It's going to be once a week and there's going to be some fun topics. But the first topic is how to read a contract and spot the red flags before you sign. So if you're doing a travel therapy contract or if you're interested in travel therapy, there are some nuances in these contracts, and most people don't tell us these things. Your recruiter's probably not going to tell you because it's not in their best interests. But I'm going to tell you these things. I've been a traveler for about 7, 8 years. I've had over 20 jobs, and I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but I actually made a sample travel contract where a lot of this info is close to being very real. And for a past assignment I had, it's just more anonymous. So we're going to dive right in. If you guys have any questions, just feel free to post either in Zoom or in the Facebook Live, and I'll try my best to answer it because I'm checking on my phone if there are any questions. First, this is a typical travel contract. As I've had over 20 job offers. No, 20 jobs I've taken. I've had probably 30 offers. And this is just typically at the top, there is the title and it just says blah blah blah, the offer date. We're pleased to extend this offer. And then on this, there's going to be different colors. There's green, where it means something's good. Red, it's a red flag. And if it's orange, we'll kind of just dive down and talk into it more so. So typically, most travel contracts are 13 weeks. So there is a start date here and there's an end date. In most cases, they're 13 weeks. In some places, like Alaska, they prefer you to work 6 months, but some still are 13 weeks. And I always recommend a traveler, if they can, to get a contract for 13 weeks because then you have more time to negotiate. Because I always try to negotiate some kind of an extension after 13 weeks. Because if you do it for 6 months or even for 1 year, then you can't negotiate during those breaks. And it's going to share the facility, the unit, the setting. It could be acute care, home health, SNF, long-term care. It's going to share the shift. Most contracts are 8-hour days for 5 days. Some are 412, some are 312s. And some could be in home health where you literally work 2 days, 3 days. As long as you see your patients, your bosses don't care. So I would say try to uh, ask those questions and be flexible. Time off requested. You want to request your time off on a contract and make sure it gets approved. Sometimes requesting too much time off, it'll decrease your chance of getting a travel job. So sometimes it might be better just to keep your mouth quiet. And if something pops up, you just take time off or you ask your manager. And I've even worked some home health jobs where it's very flexible, where they don't care what days you work as long as you see your patient caseload, where you can just work 2 days 1 week, 3 days the next week, and then you can essentially take like a 5 to 7 day off without requesting time off, which that's phenomenal. If you guys have any questions, feel free to say something. And next, it's going to talk about pay, which is very important. So during travel pay, we all get paid from the bill rates, which in the majority of cases, your travel agency doesn't tell you the bill rate. And we get a portion of that bill rate and they get a portion of it as well. But for us, if you're a true traveler, meaning you're living far away from your permanent tax home, you get paid from your regular rate and then from your tax-free stipend. So the regular rate is an hourly rate. Typically, if you're like a PT, it's over $20 per hour. If it's too low, $15, $12, that can like trigger an audit. And it's good to keep it low to maximize your non-taxable stipends, but you don't want it to be too low. And then if you work overtime, there is typically an overtime rate. Some companies give the overtime rate extremely low. Like for example, this one could be $35 if you say nothing. And if you're working in California getting paid $35 per hour, that makes no sense because the overtime rate, it doesn't come with your stipends as well. That's just the regular rate, which we'll talk about. But you want to make sure your overtime rate is a reasonable rate, whether it's like $90, $100, $120 per hour. But if it's very low, that could be that is a red flag. So before you even ask for a raise in overtime, ask your manager if you're going to work overtime. Because in some cases, the jobs, there's no chance of working overtime, and then it's not even worthwhile to go back and forth with it. But I always try to negotiate it just in case. And I actually had an annoying story where a past travel agency, they said they couldn't increase my overtime rate past, I think it was past 90, but I found out what their bill rate was, and it was way higher. It was for every hour overtime, they were getting paid, I think like 160, and they said the max they could pay me was 90. And I don't understand that because they're making a profit of about $70 every hour when I work overtime, and they're not doing it. So that's just crazy. But if they were to pay a lower amount, like 35, 40, and they're getting 160, that's just crazy. And these are different rates. There's the on-call rate, callback rate, and the holiday rate premium. We typically don't use these too much. They're more for nursing. But if there is some kind of a holiday, like for July, Memorial Day, then you should be getting paid a lot per hour. And a lot of jobs, sometimes they tell travelers don't work d- on that day to save time as well, just to save the money. If you guys have any questions, feel free to reach out. I'm just going to kind of run through this. I'm trying to get to the point, cut through the fluff, no BS. And next, we're going to talk about another thing is as a traveler, you get paid every week on Fridays in most cases. So that's amazing. And then for your overtime, different states have different overtime laws. So in California, um, you typically get paid overtime time and a half of your rate every after 8 hours and after 40 hours. And then if you work 12 hours, you get paid double time. So that's in California. That's beneficial in some cases. Um, and next, there's the per diem and reimbursements. So per diems is the other portion of your pay. You get paid by the hour with the hourly rate, and then you get a tax-free stipend. And that's if you're a true traveler, you're not taking a local contract, and you're far enough away from your home to where you have to duplicate your expenses. And if you have any questions on that, feel free to just ask as well, because I'm kind of going through this quickly. It's a little tricky, but I'm trying to get right to the point. And typically, you get a stipend per day, and then you get a housing stipend as well. And if this is tricky, confusing, you can go to the gsa.gov website over here, and then you just type in per diem. This will help you to find your stipend. So let's say we're going to San Francisco. So here the stipend's extremely high. Let's put San Francisco. And depending on the cost of living, if it's expensive or low, your stipend will be more or less. So in San Francisco, the cost of living is very high. I live pretty close to there. But this is the daily lodging rate. So this is your housing. So you just do that times seven, and then that's per week. That's per week. So 272, let's just say, because it fluctuates, it goes up and down based off of the rates. So 272 times seven. So that's 1,904. That's crazy just for housing. So let's just say 1,900 for math. And then the meals and incidentals. So it's 92. So 92 times 7, that's 644. So 644 plus 1904. So in San Francisco, if you're a travel therapist, when your stipends are maxed out, you'll get 2548 after taxes per week. And that's just for your stipends. And then there's that plus the hourly pay. So that's pretty good. And that's when the stipends are maxed out. They're not always maxed out in all cases. It depends on the bill rate if it's enough to support it. But you want to double check because if your stipend is not maxed out and if your hourly rate's very high, you can ask your agency possibly to lower your hourly rate so you can increase the tax-free stipend so you keep more money in your pocket. It's free game. Next one, we'll talk about CEU reimbursements. So one hack I do sometimes is not every company does this. It's mainly if they trust you, if you work with them. But I ask for a large CEU reimbursement up front, and that reimbursement is tax-free. Whether it's for CEUs, travel, um, your license, it's just trying to get as much upfront payment so it's tax free and you keep more money. So what they do, I was able to get this amount of a CU reimbursement. So that's $3,000. That's actually a lot of funds. But I pretty much, and I do use that money for CEUs because I've taken a lot of CEUs as a PT, so it's great to get paid back upfront. But essentially, what they did is because this all comes from the same pay package, is they decreased my hourly rate by a little bit, and the hourly rate's taxed, and then they were able to take that from the 13-week contract and pay me upfront tax free, and that's amazing. And that's just good because you're getting paid much sooner and it's taxed less. So you're making a little bit more overall. But it's all about getting the money as soon as possible so you can do what you want to it. You'll pay off those CEUs, you can invest, blah blah blah. That's good. And then with a travel agency, they do offer their health benefits and 401ks. Next session, medical, dental, vision. So what I do is I don't even mess with the medical, dental, vision. I just have my own private insurance because I typically travel between travel companies just to find the best job. I'm not loyal at all. I love you, recruiter, if you're watching this. I love you, love you, love you. You guys are all good. But I just go for what's the best job. And I'm pretty direct about it. I'm very honest, and the recruiters understand. But I have my own private insurance. It keeps going up, but I pay about like 220 per month. It's like a low coverage insurance. If you need that info, just feel free to reach out. But in some cases, if you opt out, the travel agency can pay you more because it's less expensive to them if you take your own medical insurance. And next, some agencies have a 401k eligibility. I don't even do this because I constantly change companies. I did it once, but it's just a hassle to transfer your 401k because you got to roll it over. It's a process, blah, blah, blah. But I just keep my own money and I invest my own money in my own personal assets and stocks. And it's good to figure out when they start the 401k eligibility because in some cases they don't do it until a year after or even after a contract. So really you have to take another contract with them. I don't know if they do that on purpose. Probably so. And then next we're going to talk about guaranteed hours. So guaranteed hours is very important. You want to make sure that you have a 46-hour guarantee or some kind of a 36-hour guarantee and subject to approval by the facility. But sometimes there's some clauses where they can still not give you the guarantee. So you want to read your contract, but it's always good to ask about guaranteed hours and try to do it as much as possible because you're traveling a far distance and you want to get those hours guaranteed to make sure you get paid. Overtime policy. So sometimes there's a clause where it says the agency has to approve the overtime clause, and in most cases it doesn't get paid if it's not approved. So you need to double check with your recruiter about that. Termination, common clause is saying it could be at will or either party may terminate the agreement up to upon 30 days written notice. In some cases, the agency can terminate you immediately without notice, just for some reasons that they have. So make sure you read your contract very closely. And I hope this is good so far. And then there's other clauses. This hasn't really affected me because I'm still a traveler. But in some cases, there's some writing where it says you can't go full time for a certain period. Or if you do go full time, like right after your contract, the facility might have to like pay out your travel agency. It's pretty crazy that they agree to this. But essentially, if you like the job, some contracts say you can't work there for a full year as a full timer, which that's so the agencies can keep you and make money off you. And there is an arbitration where it's pretty standard. It's saying you waive your right to sue in court. This is legal stuff. I'm not a lawyer. I'm just a PT who's worked in many contracts. And typically they'll send you this in some kind of a DocuSign, and that will be all. Well, thanks guys for watching this. Stay tuned. Let me know anything in the comments if you like this format, doing a contract rock through, or if you learned something. Have a great rest of the day. We are signing out of Zoom.